Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is Indy Fanatics, your home for IndyCar content with weekly podcasts and feature videos. Welcome back to the channel and to another episode of the IndyCar Podcast. And it is time for another race reaction. We've just finished watching the action at Mid-Ohio.
The Empire Strikes Back.
But it wasn't ultimate power. It wasn't the Emperor willpower. It was Josef Newgarden, the man who has absolutely dominated the previous two races at Detroit Race 2 and at Road America. Finally catches a break. Marcus Ericsson was chasing him down at the end, but he had enough in the tank. No problems on track. Clean pit stops. Penske finally win in 2021. Bam.
It's finally happened.
That's it. That's the race reaction.
Okay, bye. See you next week. A great race at Mid-Ohio. Yeah.
It looked a tough track to kind of overtake on out there today.
Yes.
A lot of the overtakes came in the early stages, but we had a lot of the kind of changes of positions, especially in the second half of the race, happened in pit stop windows.
It was mainly the overcuts and undercuts.
Absolutely. And, you know, we for a large part of the top 10, we had just a train of Palou, Dixon, Rossi, Rahal, O'Ward, Grosjean, Herta, and it was just going to be...
Ferrucci in the end.
And Ferrucci in the end. And it was just going to be whatever order those guys finished up in.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's only one place that we have to start. Andretti having their best qualifying of the season so far. Yeah. All four of their cars making it in to the top 10.
Oh, pain. Hinchtown, the mayor of Hinchtown, into Ryan Hunter-Reay, both of them gone. And then poor Felix, after spending 2 races out, gets all caught up in it with Grosjean going in the back of him.
But at least he was able to get laps in and finish the race. But he showed with Pato, and obviously he qualified ahead of Pato, that there was pace in that, and probably would have been his best result of the season. I don't even think he's got a top 10 this season. So he's had
so much bad luck.
Yeah. You definitely felt like he would have been able to get a top 10 performance there. But Ryan Hunter-Reay is the kind of, pressure on those Andretti seats, both out of contract at the end of the year. It's another race that slips by them, and they're running out of races to go. Keep me in for 2022.
6 races left, so maybe it's already too late. Especially for Hinchcliffe. Ryan Hunter-Reay at least has been there throughout the season, but Hinchcliffe is desperate for a very good result. Not even a good result at this point. He needs a very good result.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Hunter-Reay, the talk is maybe a part-time season next year, but Jack Harvey's out of contract. Meyer Shank have that kind of technical partnership with Andretti. A possibility of him moving in there. Roman Grosjean, again, another superb performance from Roman Grosjean out there. Didn't quite get the qualifying right, but on track was again competitive. One of the guys who looked the most raciest, the guy who could make overtakes on track, or at least was making moves to attempt to make overtakes on track.
Yeah.
He could be a guy looking for a top seat, and one of those seats might be Andretti.
Yeah, but silly season talk is saved for another podcast. Because we got 4 weeks break now.
We got a lot of
break. So this is just pure and simple Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
Shall we go to the second start? The first start, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Felix, ba-bam! Second start. For willpower, it wasn't quite the Empire Strikes Back. It was a bit more like the Return of the Jedi.
For Team Verizon 5G.
And willpower blowing up in the Death Star. Scott Dixon was like the Millennium Falcon.
It's off on a tangent. Basically, on the restart, Dixon takes power. Power then fights back. Power had been on the primary strategy, which was he was off strategy compared to most of the front runners who had started on the sticker reds. But he'd broke late into a corner, overtook Dixon. They then went wheel to wheel. And then Dixon very, very gave him little room to get through. And in the interview, Power was like, I don't understand why he didn't give me any room. I even slowed down so much. I should have known. He looked gutted.
Yeah,
and
very dejected.
Yeah, it's a season for Will Power. The what ifs. The luck, again, another season of what ifs, but he has a contract at Penske, so he can come back stronger next year. But, it's more years getting away from him in his career, and it's another frustrating year for Will Power. And it has pretty much summed up Will Power's career in IndyCar, to be fair, only the one championship, one Indy 500. He's got so many pole positions. And I think he's joint 5th or 6th something on the all-time winners list in the series. He's a brilliant, brilliant driver, but
just never really comes together for over the whole season.
No, and again, this was frustrating. And where he secured his first win of the season last year, he'll be definitely big time frustrated because he would have been pushing towards the end.
He was way up there. Yeah,
I reckon he definitely would have been.
I think he would have got a podium for sure.
Absolutely.
Because I think he was on the Bellows strategy. I think the offset strategy on those starting on the blacks was a great strategy. It just never got to fully see it.
No. And then for the rest of the race, I would kind of say, was Newgarden again, like we said, showed his dominance. He always is strong on the road courses, and he'd been quick all weekend. Obviously, in the preview, I predicted Scott Dixon to win. Stephen predicted Will Power to win, and we both had Josef Newgarden second. Well, in the fantasy challenge, we both went Newgarden to win the race because he had looked quick all through practice, secured his 3rd pole in a row, and it was 3rd time lucky for Josef Newgarden as he secured the victory. And he just dominated the race.
Yeah, plain and simple. It looked like we weren't even going to get a fight for the lead. It looked like he was in that much control. But as we enter those final stages, one man stepped forward. Actually, before that, Colton Herta was right on him. And then Colton, another victim of
today was all about the
luck.
pit stops and pit crew, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Colton Herta, in the first pit stop, had a refueling issue. The hose wouldn't kind of take out. And on his last pit stop, he'd been competitive again. He was right in the mix there, had plenty of pace still, and stalled the car, which then dropped him behind Grosjean and Patou. He managed to make both in the end. But yeah, it's a day of what ifs for Colton Herta. And again, a slip from Andretti. And that's pretty much summed up Andretti's season.
And after Colton went, then it was like, okay, Newgarden's got this in the bag. But then one man stepped forward now, and that was Marcus Ericsson, fresh off the back of his race win in Detroit. I say fresh off the back, it was a couple races ago now, but near enough in recent memory. Just absolutely blitzed it on the last stint. He was I think he started the stint off around the 7-8 second mark off Newgarden. Closed it right up within nearly half a second, I think he got.
I think he was within half a second at the end.
Yeah, right at the end. Oh, so close.
Just needed a couple laps more.
Yeah, a couple laps more. And bam.
The charge had just come a little bit too late. He just ran out of time to do it. But I couldn't believe how well timed our career-defining video was in relation to Marcus Ericsson, because since winning that Detroit race one, obviously taking advantage of that misfortune of Will Power in that race, he hasn't looked back since. He hadn't qualified great in the previous 2 races, but managed to get strong top 10 finishes, making up lots of places in both Detroit race 2 and at Road America. But he got his best ever series qualifying, starting P3, and took advantage of Colton Herta. Like we said, put serious pressure on Newgarden, But again, his third podium in the NTT IndyCar Series. And now he has the complete set. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. He's got the complete set. That first podium coming with Arrow McLaren back in 2018, it must be now. And he just looks like he's a Chip Ganassi driver now.
Yeah.
And now, Chip Ganassi as a team, how strong do they look? Because again, Palou finds his way onto the podium. I think Stephen's words were, although he's like, I've got to back my guy Pato, but he sure feels kind of set to be on the podium, Palou. And he did it. Last, the pit crew got him ahead. He managed to get the overcut massively. He was behind both Rossi and Dixon going into the last one. And that would have been good for Dixon Newgarden in the championship. But no, he jumped both of them and never looked back. He put a big gap, and it was really Dixon just holding off Rossi, Rahal, Herta, Grosjean, Pato at the end.
An incredible drive from Palou, having an absolute immense season. Wasn't sure if he would be able to keep up. Ever since race 1, could he keep up the momentum throughout the whole season in his first proper title challenge with Chip Ganassi? And he's shown he is. And doing a bit like Scott Dixon, even if he's not winning the race, he's maximising his result. And P3 was the best result he could really achieve. And he's gone and done it. And now he's leading with a 39 point. Did we say 39 points?
39 point advantage to Pato O'Ward.
With 6 races to go, all he needs is consistency at this point.
Extended his lead over Scott Dixon, with Scott Dixon now dropping to 56 points out. And I think Josef Newgarden was 66 points out. But he obviously cut down his deficit by 20 points this race. Or, well, it must have been 15, something like that. Because, the gap's between it's 35 points and 50 points for a race win. But Josef Newgarden has to be flawless to the end of the season. Pato and Dixon need at least a couple of race wins. Palou is just in control in the box seat. And in his maiden season in Super Formula in Japan, he almost won the championship there, had an unlucky race. And remembering that championship's only 8 races long. And he came third to Nick Cassidy and Yamamoto in that series, who were vastly experienced within Super Formula, and Palou was a rookie in that series. Well, obviously within Dale Coyne, he didn't have a chance to win for a championship, but he secured his first podium in the series and got stronger and stronger. And with Chip Ganassi, he has the team behind him and winning know-how to match his talent. At this stage, I think he's going to do it.
I'm struggling to look past him.
I think he's going to do it.
Along with Chip Ganassi in his corner, they're looking too good.
Like every weekend, you just look and he goes, he's just in and around the top 5. He just gets a good result. When it was Josef Newgarden's misfortune in Road America, who was the guy to take advantage? It was Alex Palou, and he started 5th that day as well. He's not exactly starting on the front row, but he's always putting himself in a position to score big points. And even when his rivals get good results, he's realistically here, he's not kind of giving them much to kind of gain on him. He's either right behind them or just in front of them. And he's been brilliant. Again, another fantastic performance from him. Who was also fantastic? And we're gonna call the star performer a draw, because Rahal did a fantastic performance, but Santino Ferrucci again jumping in. Since this kind of substitute position or just coming in part-time for these this third seat at Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing, he hasn't finished outside the top 10.
From 22nd to 10th. Unbelievable. On a track that so many were finding it tricky to overtake, make positions up, even on the undercut, overcuts. He was absolutely fine.
He slowly accumulated, and I don't know, like we said, I don't know if he wanted to go seriously down the NASCAR route, because, let's be honest, there is more money in it as a professional racing driver going in there. Or does he want to be one of the young, exciting talents in this NTT IndyCar series, because I tell you what, in an IndyCar, Ferrucci's a hell of a talent. And, you know, he definitely feels if he keeps up with this in a regular series, I can see him being an Indy 500 winner for sure in the future.
I mean, he's so good at the speedway, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, so good. And so many exciting drivers being linked to the series. Like I said, that's going to be, we'll cover a kind of podcast, probably not this next week, but the following week coming up, because obviously this is the race reaction going through it all. But yeah, wow, exciting. But Mid-Ohio, probably the least action-packed out of the recent races that we've had of on-track action, but still massively intriguing. Going down to the last laps, there was that intrigue. Will Josef Newgarden hold on? You think of years, these kind of last 4 years, you just wouldn't even think about it. Newgarden's got it in the bag. But because of these last two races, because of his bad luck, you were like, no, surely not a third time it falls away from Josef. But no, he was able to hold on to it. Superb race win for him. And yeah, what a way to celebrate America's birthday. Happy Independence Day. Obviously, we're British people. We were the ones who kicked out on that one. But you guys have made a pretty good racing series from it, so we'll forgive you.
It was fate. An American winning on the 4th of July.
Absolutely.
Perfect result.
And I think it was on the, Team Penske's 50th anniversary of their first win.
Yeah, of course. Roger looked very happy.
He certainly did.
Taking off his NTT IndyCar Series cap for a moment, go full Team Penske. Oh, he was loving it.
You know, he's got such a strong link to those guys in his team as well. It is his team the way through, even though Tim Cindrix does a fantastic job as president of the team now. It was such a shock that it's taken this long from Team Penske, but expect, you know what, I'm going to put it out there. Scott hasn't quite looked in there for race wins. And Pato, we talked about it with Aaron McLaren. I think we were talking before the race. You were saying that McLaren had said something, it'll be 2 to 3 years before thinking challenging for a championship. Pato has dragged them into that conversation, but it's days like today where they haven't quite capitalised it with a poor qualifying, so they're always playing catch-up. Josef Newgarden, by the end of the season, I think he's going to be the main guy pushing Alex Palou. And if it isn't Palou, I think it's going to be Newgarden. He looks on fire at the moment. And next up, we've got this long summer break, but we're in Nashville.
We're in Nashville, his home Grand Prix.
The inaugural Nashville Street Circuit GP, the Music City GP.
It's got a bridge!
It's got a bridge. And I just feel it's going to be Newgarden again. But that's for another one. Any last thoughts on Mid-Ohio?
Another great race. Drama to the end. Sad times for Pato. But, you know, it's a feel-good seeing Newgarden, after all that hard luck, come home with the victory.
I think a few of the drivers out there look like they needed a breather. It's been a fast-paced, high-octane action first half of the season. I know technically it's gone beyond, but there's this kind of summer break now. They look like they need that break to kind of refresh for a sprint finish to the end of what has been a fantastic championship this year. You cannot call this championship. Alex Palou is in the driving seat, but it only takes a DNF. It only takes a poor result to bring every one of those kind of Dixon, Pato and Newgarden back into the mix. And if it really fluffs, Marcus Ericsson, if he continues his form, is a really outside coming in.
You're reaching there.
It is a real reach. But if it really goes off the rails for Palou, man, Marcus looks fantastic at the moment. He looks one of the form guys. And like they said, there is no guy who's made more overtakes on track this season than Marcus Ericsson. No guy.
Well, you can make as many overtakes as you want, but if you're not winning races, he's won a race. You're not winning a championship.
Very true. But anyway, guys, we'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. What did you make of the Mid-Ohio race? Was it good to finally see Josef Newgarden win? How are you enjoying your kind of 4th of July celebrations? how are you going to survive this massive break that we've got without IndyCar? Obviously, we'll be producing content. We didn't have the feature video last week because it was going to be almost like bang, bang with content with it coming out last night. So we've pushed it back to kind of this week. We've got this break, so there's going to be regular content for you guys to kind of fill in the space without on-track racing to deal with.
There we go.
But if you're new around here or haven't done so already, what can they do, Stephen?
They can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Ding it. So for now, you Indy fans, keep racing.